imprisoned for 10,000 years, banished from my own homeland, and now you dare enter my realm. You are not prepared.
Hey, welcome back to the show. This is a great show, isn't it? Though the intro was weird, I know, but, you know, I like to have fun. Anyway, so, right. It's great being back after 3 years. I started this whole Hungarian project business because, as I explained it to many people, I was a little bit bored and wanted to spend my time with something else other than playing video games. And now we are back, and now I have more than 1,000 subscribers, which means that I have well, in the ancient world that would mean I have 1,000 slaves, but you're not my slaves, except that you have to do what I tell you, so I would do the second season. So, anyway, yeah, okay, well, let's do it. Well, in the second season, we are going to learn about complex sentences. You know, complex other than I like dogs, because the language, most languages, consist of complicated sentences that we use to explain complicated thoughts, because we tend to have complicated thoughts, other than we are running low on water and on bread. We usually talk about complain about taxes and government and whatever, talking about art, and this is what we are going to do. Very fun and very interesting complex sentence analysis, or English is my second language. I can do whatever I want, and that would be whatever, you understand what I mean. So, as always, it helps me if you comment on the video, perhaps because I made a mistake, or perhaps because you want to show me your eternal love and devotion, or just you have a question, because questions are cool. And that's about it. Of course, you can share the video. If you think that it's useful, and it would be useful for others as well. But this is not a show about celebrities. So, the audience is not that big. Usually is about people who want to learn Hungarian. And okay, let's learn some Hungarian. Welcome back. I'm glad you can join us today, as well as the other days, and let's have them graphically run through the colors we are going to use on the bottom of the screen, and today we are going to make 3 almighty sentences, and we are going to analyze them and basically having some fun. So let's have some fun. I already covered the whiteboard with a thick layer of white paint, and you can do this at home, or you can use an exercise book and join in the fun. I'm going to give you some time to think about the sentences. I'm going to draw using preferably a blue pen, and then we're going to think about them, and especially the grammar. Well, I took the liberty to write down a sentence, an almighty sentence. That is fantastic. My penmanship is not that great, but if you can read this, preferably you can almost read it. I mean, unless you skipped the first season, meaning that you have trouble with the letters, then you will have trouble with the sentence. But if you watched the first season, you have a basic idea about the alphabet. So when I read this from word by word, you're going to nod, saying, "Oh yes, yes, this is the exact way I would have read the sentence." Of course, I have the advantage of being Hungarian, but okay. So I will give you a couple of seconds to really think about the words, how you would pronounce them. One by one. I've wrote it with the number to make you a bit uncomfortable, because you would have to remember, and since I can't remember if we talked about numbers or not, well, Ready? I bet you are. So, az asztalon 3 toll van. Perfect, isn't it? Now, if I was Hungarian, which I am, so if I read this, probably because this is a simple sentence, I would go through it like a machine gun. It would say, az asztalon 3 toll van. And there you go. If I want to be a little more slow, then I could say that az asztalon 3 toll van. Since, I mean, there is no time to really think about syllables and, just get hold of them and hang on to them until the end of time. Because we are here to say a lot of things in a very short amount of time. So that's why it is an expectation from me as a Hungarian to read it very fast. But let's get down to business and let's think about what is happening here. Well, obviously, we are dealing with a sentence with many, many words, but you might recognize this one. This is the in English, so it's not that hard. And 3, because we write it the same way, thank cows. This is quite easy. I mean, if there is no attachment on it, or on that one, then it's quite easy to find them in sentences. So I might as well just write the meaning there. This one is pen. You might have already known that. And this is to be. Yeah. But obviously this is not how to be. Is in the, not the expression is in the dictionary. So there's something fishy going on here. And this one is not in the dictionary for some reason. Oh, but let me write this down for you. So this is not in the dictionary, so there is something going on with that. And you might remember that in Hungarian we use attachments, as I already have talked about them in this video, at least mentioned them for a bit. So as soon as we find the attachment, that might be familiar, by the way, the sooner we do that, the sooner we can find the root of the word and then put it into the dictionary. Now let me help you with that because, because I'm here to help. And I'm such a nice guy. So that is the attachment. You might recognize it. It means on something. which is rather convenient, isn't it? I mean, this means on something, and that's the same way in English. Of course, this thing has siblings, because on is not alone. It has on, an, and un, so triplets. And all three of them mean the same, meaning on something. So if you were to imagine a cube for some reason, and you want to put things on it, then you put these attachments on the end of that word, and then there you go. It's on. Something is on this cube. I hope I made myself clear. So in this case, Asztal is the cube itself, and something is on it. The same way as it would work in English. However, in English we put the preposition in front of the word. So that was kind of cool. Now we have to remember Asztal. And Asztal is, you might already know that, table. Now obviously this makes no sense like this. The table on something panned to be. What is that? I mean, we have even in the first season we have done more than this. So you have to remember that in Hungarian the order is quite different than it would be in English. So now that we understand every word in the sentence, our job is to create an English sentence containing all these words. So let's make some sense of this. There is the table and something is on the table, so there you go. That's something. Excellent. Well, I you know, because this is a simple sentence, I presume that because in English we end stuff with places and time and stuff like that, this would be the end of an English sentence. This makes sense. Something is on the table. Now, what is on the table? Obviously this is the to be, but much like in English or in Hungarian, we have to conjugate it somehow, because it doesn't make any sense. Only somebody not very clever would say stuff like to be table here. You know, someone who doesn't speak English, which you and I speak. So obviously, you know, that's so we have this, and we have covered this. Now we only have to cover these things. So what's with that? A three pan. Does it make any sense? Well, there is a mistake in there. It's in English it would say three pans. So well, that makes sense. But in Hungarian you have to learn or remember that when there is a number in front of an expression, a noun, counting it, exactly saying how much it is, then we no longer use plural. So that's another clever thing to remember. So but in English you have to, obviously. I mean, you and I know this because we're clever, right? Anyway, so now, much like in Hungarian, we have to cover the action itself. So in English, if you have a sentence like this, three pans on the table, you probably know what to do with it. I mean, three pans are on the table. That makes sense. And this is another thing when it comes to translating and interpreting between languages. you know, you have to make some guesses, some educated guesses. I mean, guesses, not gas. Or remember, there's a difference. Probably there's a difference between the pronunciation, which I don't know, but well, look, English is my second language. Ha ha. Let's go back to this one. So 3 pens are on the table. That is a rather good sentence, isn't it? But there is another variation. I mean, you can say there are 3 pens on the table. Now, I don't know about English, but Hungarian, this is the sign for duplication, just a dash and 2 stuff and another thing. And I'm lazy, even though this is a video. This is kind of a live video, so you know, I mean, you have to watch it real time. So there we go. This makes more sense, I guess, in English. But of course, this is kind of an art, if you think about it. Translating sentences, interpreting, and this simple sentence didn't even have any cultural significance. You know, it didn't hold anything like that. You know, a reference to a famous movie or a reference to a famous person or something. And of course, these are different between, you know, there's a difference between Hungary and the US, Hungary and Canada, Hungary and, you know, literally any country in the world. Because every country has its own history, and that's fascinating. But right now, we only need this one. So this concludes the first sentence, and let's head to the next one, because that is fun. But this is the next sentence. Hopefully you can see it. I mean, even if you can't, it's under the screen or on the bottom of the screen, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to show you. I mean, there are 3 words here, quite easy, no much hustle. Just let's try to pronounce them, not together, because that's just silly, you talking to your computer. And I mean, others would understand that you're watching a show about learning Hungarian, but I doubt that they would understand you're trying to talk to the screen, because this is not a live feed. Let's move on. So, let's do this. I'll give you some time. Alright, that was enough, because I'm bored now. Szeretek tollal. Remember, this is a double letter. You have to say lal instead of lol. Írni, because that is a long E. And that is a short E if you want to compare the 2 together. So, again, because I'm Hungarian, I would probably say something, szeretek tollal írni. And again, szeretek tollal írni. That was a bit slower, so that's cool, I guess. Now, let's analyze this sentence, because that is why we are here. I mean, you crave the explanation for this sentence, don't you? I bet you do. Don't answer, because that would be silly again. I mean, I hope you're not talking to the screen. I mean, people would take you away. You know, people in white, go to a place with whatever. So, let's do this. Most sentences contain 3 very, very distinguishable expressions. Number 1 is the subject. You know, somebody who is the subject of the sentence. You know, he or she will do something, preferably something interesting, because otherwise it would be boring. Now the something, or you know, the verb usually describes the action itself. So now we have a subject doing some sort of action, and most of the time it does something to something, or anyway, it's the object. There is an object in a sentence. Now, obviously, we are no linguists here, so this might require a little bit of an explanation. And I'm no linguist myself. I just teach the language. So in this case, this would be the object, not because it's on the it's the third place, but oh, sorry, this one. Or the second place, because you know, I know, because of the ending and stuff like that. And in this case, because it's simpler, I usually explain that the object is something you use, you do something to, you make it. For example, a cake, you make a cake, and whatever. So in English, it's usually the third thing in the sentence. I make a cake, or I bake a cake, I go by bicycle, whatever. I know that linguists must hate me because this is not the perfect explanation, but this will do for now. So, now that I told you that this is the object, and yeah, well, you know, it's all spoiled now, but let's treat it as it wasn't, as if it wasn't. So, let's find stuff here. Now, obviously, these will not be in the dictionary because, much like with the previous sentence, sadly, they all have attachments. Now, because we are learning Hungarian here, and other than me, probably there aren't many Hungarians watching this thing, and even I don't watch it because I'm making it, so, you know, the amount of Hungarians are very low. And since you are here to learn the language, you will probably be better off if you try to remember the attachments, because for me, as a Hungarian, it's easier to remember the root of the word. I would say that, oh yeah, this is the root, that is the root, that is the root. Wow, that was so easy. But I've been doing this for 28 years. It's crazy. I mean, well, you know, I wasn't very productive in the first years of my life, but probably by the time I went to school, I spoke the language pretty well. And then years after years, I learned the grammar, I learned everything, so, you know, I became who I am today. Sad. But anyway, so, let's see. Well, this seems like an attachment, because we have seen it, perhaps in previous videos. Let me try to wink. That's the best I can do. And this seems like an attachment, but well, I don't know. I mean maybe just this one. And this seems like an attachment to me, mostly because we learned about it. Well, hopefully. Okay, now, let's discuss the attachments, because you can find these in the dictionary now. It's so easy, so very easy and boring. This is something that comes in when you try to connect two verbs. So these are connected, and that's awesome. So this thing has two actions. This one, and we do something with that one as well. Wow, that's so awesome, isn't it? So probably in the dictionary you will find that this is like or love, but why would we love stuff like that? And this is write. Quite awesome. So so this is to write, and this is to like. What would be the connection? What do you think? Seriously, I mean, I really want to know. Don't talk, just think about it, and perhaps I can feel something. Yeah, seriously, I mean, yeah. Think it louder. Good. So like to write. Haha, yeah, am I right? Am I right? Yeah, I'm good like that. So these are connected verbs, meaning probably in English it would be connected, they would be connected with a to or an ing at the end. I like writing, or I like to write. These are different expressions in English. You know, I like to write or I like writing, with different conclusions. But in Hungarian they are the same, because we have only one way to do this, with the ni attachment. So now let's face this one. This is a worthy foe, I believe, because it has two L's. If you write it with one L, there won't be any good. No, that's not good. Probably no result in the dictionary. But now you know that this means pen. Yeah, and not just because of the previous sentence. Okay, now let's do something very much fun. We know this attachment. You probably all know all about this one. I mean, this means I. Am I right? I told you I'm good. So I. Oh, that's an L. So I like writing. Probably this is, I mean, if you can read this, well, probably this would be an English sentence that would make sense. You know, I like writing, and this one means with. So that thing, probably it's really high, but anyway, all, L. Well, originally they would be vol, vel, but yeah, let's discuss that later, because that is a bit, yeah, because the V always changes. I mean, V as a letter in Hungarian, it tends to change, not into other letters, but, you know, as an attachment. If something is with a V, that will create strange results. So okay, let's move on. So because that means with something, now probably this means with pen. Remember, this makes sense in English. Hungarian doesn't care about the thing. So in order to speak about something in general, we don't have to use the in Hungarian. Just say the word, like pen. That's why a lot of Hungarians, and we have to work on it a lot, they tend to lose this one or leave it out of the sentence. So when you speak to a Hungarian, and probably with people you know, with other original languages, but anyway, you know, when you have to speak a Hungarian, probably he or she will leave this out. So I like writing with pen, and yeah, in this case it makes sense in English, but I just wanted to give you an example. You know, sometimes I don't give very good examples, but it's the theory that counts, isn't it? Let's move on. This. Yeah. Working. So there you go. This is another sentence. An amazing sentence, might I add. Featuring the pen again, somehow. But with a different attachment. Yeah, because I like being evil. Now, let's take our what color is this? Red pen, and analyze this now. Oh wait, did I forget something? Oh yes, perhaps first you would want to pronounce this. Alright, that's enough time. So, nem találom a tollam. Good, isn't it? No, yeah, I know. I'm very good at this. This sound, because it seems that statistically a lot of people have trouble with that, it's an O. Well, it's in the English language, I don't know. I have to remember, never try to make examples on the spot, but I mean, this is O as a wide open thingy. It's not an A or an apple. It's wide. It's well, it's kind of narrow, but tall, and your tongue is all the way down. O, something like that. So I would say nem találom a tollam, just to show off. Right, okay, let's do this. That's a crazy sentence. It's fun, isn't it? I mean, nem doesn't really have any attachments. Yeah, because it's the negative. So normally it would mean no. So if you want to say some no to somebody, then probably this would be a good option, since there is nothing else. And in a sentence, this is how we make negative. That's brilliant, because it's so easy, isn't it? I mean, the rest is practically nothing, except that they have all attachments. This is the, like we encountered it before. So that's cool. And now we have to, find the attachments. For instance, we already know that tall means something, so probably the is a good idea of an attachment. And this one is, well, you might recognize it, from a place where you read about conjugation in Hungarian. This means I, but we know that this is the definite conjugation. Now, because we have definite and indefinite conjugations, yeah, ain't that a bitch? So probably it would be a wise idea to remember both of them. But we will talk about conjugations later, well, in the next video, spoiler alert. And then, if you know all of these, you will know everything. So, tall means pan, talál in the dictionary means find, yeah. So probably in English it would mean something, I find, oh yeah, but this is there, so that's not good. Oh, lovely red. So this would something be like don't find, which is great, because now I don't have to explain don't to you, because you already know that. But I mean, after this, can you imagine how complicated it would sound if I was to teach you this thing? It's not just a not, but it's don't, and in occasion it's doesn't, or can't, or wouldn't, or this is crazy. But luckily we are translating to this weird language from this weird language, so in this case this is less weirder. But this part is kind of weird, so yeah, so this is again with a subject, an action, and with, we need an object. So this would be the something. That's a great guess, but we have to talk about this one. If we talked about it before, or read about it before in some other place or with another teacher, then probably you might recall it as the possessive attachment. You know, it has and am version and others. We will talk about it later with other sentences, but let's just leave it that way. This is the possessive. My. Now, the reason I didn't write the in here, because I didn't want to make that other silly mistake of you know, having to delete it or just trying to, you know, to smudge it, because this is not a very good board, but it serves its purpose. So the reason I didn't want to do that, other than making a mistake, is because in English my is just there and it's just my. So in English, this and this one, the and the my, they rule each other out, or, you know, whatever you want to think of them. You know, you can't use the two together right after another. But in Hungarian, you kind of have to, because this is different than this one. This is just a possessive, meaning that it's my something, and this is for, you know, because this is a pen in particular, so this needs for the definite thing. Yeah. So so the definite is more than just an attachment. It's a mode of it's a way of writing things. So yeah, I know. We'll talk about the definite next time. And I think that's it. That's all there is to it. 3 sentences, 3 incredibly interesting analysis, and there you go. Okay. So, dear viewer, even though I'm talking against my own interest, but of course the teacher should always talk about for the students' interest, let me show you a very easy way to conjugate verbs in Hungarian. All you have to do is put Hungarian word or verb, better yet, with a single V, verb conjugation, and I think you might stumble upon web pages like this one, Verbix, which requires a word, for instance esik, and then go for everything. So, since Hungarian has a lot of versions and object modes and everything, I believe that it's safe to say that there are things you don't or may not understand with this table, but it doesn't really matter, because soon in this second season we are going to discuss every little thing with the indicative versions, all present, past and future versions. You may remember these from the previous season, such as fogok, fogs, fog, fogunk, etc. This is a very easy way to make future, therefore we Hungarians don't use it at all. Well, very rarely. And there's the conditional, if you wanted to do something but, you know, you're not sure, so maybe you do it, maybe you don't. And conjunctive or imperative, that's the more popular name, and there you go. However, as you can see, with everything, there's an indefinite and definite version of the whole verb or expression. And that is very sad, I know. But remember, definite, as the name suggests, is always something in particular, a definite something. So if you're reading that book, if you're eating my food and you survive, then you can say that you have to use the definite conjugation. For instance, if I beat you up because you tried to eat my food, then that is also definite. However, when it comes to indefinite things, then, well, most things are indefinite. But enough of that. Here, there is no goal for you to learn the language. This is just about conjugations. So, there is one more thing. You have to use the dictionary form of the word. So first you have to find the dictionary form, mostly in the dictionary. So for that you have to use a dictionary. And for that I would suggest this sotar.saki.hu. And even though this is a Hungarian dictionary, it will find you the proper word. So let's try something. Let's put something like to eat here. Obviously, this will recognize that it is in English, and since this is a Hungarian dictionary, most probably they will tell you the Hungarian version. And that is very much fun. But be prepared, because sometimes it gives you a bad result. Just like translate.google.com. Oh. If you put to eat there and then choose Hungarian, where is it? I can't find my own language. There you go. Then it will give you the indefinite, the gerund version with the NE, so you have to scroll down. Well, if you have a bigger screen, you might not have to scroll down, and then find the proper verb version for to eat. So these are the things that might aid you in your journey to learn the language. But of course, when it comes to languages, since they are invented by humans, only a human can do a perfect job. So you still have to learn how to conjugate verbs, because there's no way you can use this in real life during a conversation. But of course, you might need to learn some new words someday, or encounter something in Hungarian in a text, and then you might have to find your way through the language. I'm sure that there are more tools than these, but for now this is quite enough. Obviously, when I try to read something in English, I don't use the conjugations, but I might need to use some of these too, maybe both. So there you go. This is it. I have nothing else to say about these things. Okay. So thank you for watching. I mean, it really means a lot to me, and I hope you're learning stuff. Well, maybe not today, because today we have learned specific things for specific sentences, which is not a great way to teach a language, because ideally I would or should teach you things that are kind of more general than just something for a specific sentence. And this is what we are going to do in the next program. In next time we are going to dive into all the conjugations for the verb there is in the history of conjugations, with definite mode and imperative and past tense and future, and oh yes, kind of like the thing you have already seen on the web pages I showed you to help you with stuff. So yeah. Now in the previous season I encouraged people to send me ideas about stuff, but I didn't really realize that, you know, if you're not following this series in real time, then you have no chance to suggest anything. So while we are in the making of these, until you see that there is a next episode, then you're free to add something or write to me, you know, or add me on Skype, because I like making friends, or you know, just communicate your wishes to me. And of course this is a free service, so if you don't give me $100 trillion, probably you would, and you know, you end up with, you know, I might do it or might not do it, who knows. But that's the very, very nice thing of free services, that it you know, it leaves all the pressure behind. Because if you were to give me money to teach you, then you know, it would put a lot of pressure on me, and I don't say you shouldn't, but that is different. This is like a presentation of general things, examples I like about the Hungarian language, and the next time we do the next thing I like about the Hungarian language, which again is the conjugation of all the verbs that are in the language. So thank you again for watching. It really means a lot to me that people are interested in what I have to say, which is crazy, because I always think that whatever I need to say or wish to say, it's just a self-absorbed thing, that it's really not important. But apparently for some people, even you know, at least one, other than my grandmother, it could be important, or at least the worst case scenario, it's interesting. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. I will try to do my best to entertain you while teaching, and to give you interesting examples about the language itself. And if you excuse me, now I have to go and eat ice cream, because that's what I promised myself after I make all this. Ice cream!